Okay, we're going to look at the last function question of 2020. It's an exponential equation. It's the graph of f of x equals 3 to the minus x power, and it's sketched below. 3 to the minus x is really 3 to the minus 1 all to the x power. 3 to the minus 1 is 1/3, and that's the shape when you have fractions like 1 over 3 or 1 over 2. That's the shape of it. They tell you that A is the y-intercept, and they give us this is the x-axis, and there's a line up here, y equals 9 is a dotted line, and it goes through a point called B. So we're kind of given the y coordinate of B is 9. Okay, let's just start some of the questions. Here we go. It's really good to read it really carefully. A is the y-intercept, and B is a point the intersecting the function and the line y equals 9. Okay, now that we got that clear, let's try the questions. Write down the coordinates of A. We want to figure out what A is. Well, it's a y-intercept. Well, a y-intercept, you always let x equals 0. So you put a 0 in there, minus 0. Well, 3 to the 0 power is just 1. 3 to the 0, y must equal 1. So there it is, 0 and 1. That's your answer. The next question, 5.2, is find the coordinates of B. Let's do that. Well, the coordinates of B, we're looking at where the line y equals 9 and 3 to the minus x equal each other, where they cross, where they intersect. So all you do is you let 9 equal 3 to the minus x. 9 is 3 squared, make the basis the same when you're trying to do a exponential equation, and then you can see the 2 equals minus x. Well, if minus x equals 2, multiply both sides by negative 1, and we get our answer, which is x equals minus 2. We already knew that y is 9, so the coordinates of B are minus 2 and 9. Since they asked for the coordinates, give the coordinates. If you just get the x value, you'd lose some marks. So you have to answer the question. Let's try one more part. Let's try 5.3, which is write down the domain of the inverse of this function. Well, there's a couple of ways of doing it. Now, one way of doing it is let's just not look at the graph, but just look at this inverse. Y equals 3 to the minus x. If we switch x and y, we have x equals 3 to the minus y. No matter what numbers we put in for y, even if we go this, if we put in 0, 3 to the 0 would equal 1. So we can kind of get an idea. 3 to the 0 would equal 1, but if we put in numbers like 1 or 2 or 3, this will become 1 over 3, 1 over 3 squared. It'll get very small. In fact, if we let y get big, it becomes infinitely small, but it'll never become 0. If we put negative numbers in, it'll get big. So x is just going to have to be greater than 0. So x is an element of the real numbers, but it's greater than 0. Hey, how else can I figure that out? Well, I could think of sketching this inverse. Here's the function. It goes out to the positive y-axis and then takes off in a positive x-axis, and takes off in the y direction. Well, the inverse must take off from the positive y-axis and then take off in the positive x direction. It's got to be the reverse of x and y, the reverse story. Now, I can see what the domain is. The domain is all the things x can be. Well, I put a little green dots in here to do a rough sketch of the inverse. And I can see, hey, it's x is greater than 0. So x is an element of the real numbers, and it's greater than 0. That's your answer. Well, we'll do from 5.4 and 5.5 in the next video.